Yo, what's up, Vulcan guys? Welcome back to another deck profile. Today we have a special one for you guys. We have a Tier 0 Undefeated Sky Striker deck profile for you guys. Like, this deck is absolutely nuts. I haven't lost a game with this one. With this list, this specific list is absolutely nuts. It defeats every deck, and especially now that we're in the new 2019 format, we're going to be seeing a lot more Thunder Dragons, a lot more Sky Striker mirrors, and we're also going to see Salamangreat Great in a couple of weeks. And this deck just accounts for all of those matchups, and this deck just absolutely destroys them. So let's get straight into this profile, guys. It's absolutely nuts. So to begin with, we always have 3 Ray. Like, Ray is the best card. Like, it's the best monster. It's a quick effect, so it's tag out effect. What you can do is you can, on your opponent's turn, if you were to reborn her, you could always tag out, go into another link, which is probably Kagari, and just recur something from the grave. Or if your opponent wants to like target it with like an effect to like destroy it or like spin it back, you can always chain her, and then you can go into a link. Like, she's absolutely insane, and the fact that it's a quick effect just makes her even better. It just gets all of your engine going. And like, even if your like hand's terrible, you can always go into Ray, make Shizuku, and then pass, and then get your engage on the end phase. So like, as long as you have Ray, you're safe. Next, we have 3 Ash. So Ash is the best hand trap. I don't get why anyone wouldn't play it. Ash stops everything that has to do with the deck. Like, it stops searching, which is important. It stops special summoning from deck, which is very big. So I don't get why anyone would like not play Ash. Like, a well-timed Ash in the late game just wins games. Then we have 1 Ogre. I'd probably cut out Ogre in this format. Like, right now it's just a grindier format. Before it was for Summon Sork, even before it was for like Firewall, but now we don't have any of those being a problem. So Ogre, only good for like the multi-roll, only good for spoofing, only good for protocol, but otherwise not much of a point running Ogre. So I might cut that out for like an upstart. Now moving on to the Sky Striker spells, we have 3 Engage, the auto win button, and we have 3 Anchor, and we have 3 multi-roll. So I want to talk about these 3 first. So Engage is the auto win button. Like, it's a pot of greed. You draw 2 cards. Basically, you search like any card, and then you search any Sky Striker card, and then you just draw a card when you have 3 or more spells in grave, which you most likely will. So it's like, it allows everything to be done. The Engage, like, you can search your Afterburner to out a monster. You can search Jamming Waves to out like a set spell, and you can also search your Widow Anchor to steal or to negate. It's absolutely nuts. Like, I don't get why I didn't get hit, but the fact that's not hit, we'll abuse it, and we'll continue to run 3 pot of greeds. Yeah. Next we have the Widow Anchor. So Widow Anchor, you need 3 of. Like, it's a really good card. It beats Thunder Dragons because you negate their effects. You can search after. You could also steal it, hit them with their own monster. Like, it's a really good card. And then now we have multi-roll. So some people play 2, but I'd always run 3 multi-roll, because multi-roll, what you do is you'll activate it, and then you can pop one of your own cards, whether it's like a stolen card or just a spell to add to your grave. Then all your spells are spell speed 4, you're good, and then your opponent can't respond to your engages, so you can't get ashed anymore, which is absolutely nuts. So this card, you always want to see it in your hand, and even if you see 2, like, you can just pop the other one, get a spell engrave, or you can just keep it in your hand for insurance in case if it gets popped. Like, it's just such a good card, and it's a Spellbook of Judgment on the end phase. So whether it's on your turn or your opponent's turn, depending on how many activated Sky Striker spells you did, you get to set them back. So you just plus off it, and like, the banishing doesn't even matter, because even if they're banished, if you don't have another copy in your graveyard, just Shizuku search that card. It's not a big deal. Next we have 3 Area 0 and 2 Terraformings. So like, Area 0, some people play 2 of, just like multi-roll, but Area 0 unbricks your hand. Like, it's a duality for striker cards. Like, what more do you want? Like, it unbricks your hands. You'll see your like Engage and your Widow Anchors really often, and you just add them to hand and then basically send a spell to grave. So it helps with 2 things, which is unbreak your hand and also send spells to grave. And you can also do that combo with your Area 0, where you go like, oh, activate Area 0 on Ray, chainlink to Ray, go into one of your links, and then you'll still get your 3 like cards that you reveal and you just add one to your hand. So it's just a free +1 too. Another thing you can do is like if you don't have Kagar or if you don't have Ray in your hand, you can pop it with multi-roll and then get your Ray out, so your engine starts again. Next we have 2 Ego Booster. So with Ego Booster, it's so good. Like I don't get why people would only run 1. It wins the mirror because if your opponent doesn't have a response when you Ego Booster your monster, they're not taking control of it, and then and if they don't have Ray or any monster to go into like their own links with, like you've won. Honestly, in the mirror, it's the race to whoever can outgrind their opponent's like Raise Engrave or just prevent them from getting Raise Engrave, and then the rest of it's just letting multi-roll do the work. Just set your own spells and then you just win. But Ego Booster does help, and also helps against Thunder Dragons, because if you have a bunch of Widow Anchors in hand, just set an Ego Booster with 3 spells engraved, you're free for that turn, like you're safe, and then on your own turn, you have those Widow Anchors just to steal their like entire board, and then you just swing with them. It's really good. Next we have the one-ofs. So Afterburner, pops a monster, 3 spells engraved, pop a spell. What you can do is if you pop one of your opponent's monsters, you could also pop your own field spell and get a Ray if you need that, so that's another good utility use. Then you have the drone. Like I don't normally search drone unless I have Ray Engrave already, because Ray, you need Ray because it deters them from removing your links, or else you're going to get them back with Ray. So Ray's always mandatory engrave. Like if you had a choice, always get Ray. But if you already have Ray, then I guess drone's fine to add a spell engrave. And then, like another good thing is for like the late grind game, you can always set drone off multi-roll if you really needed it, so that's fine too. So, oh, Shark Cannon. This is like the last card I want to talk about for the Striker engine. So, Shark Cannon, what happens is if you get your Kagari, let's say Reapered, you can always Shark Cannon your opponent's Kagari in the mirror and just get that effect. So, even if you get Reapered, like this card will save your life. And even if you get like your link removed and you don't have a way to a monster, just reborn one of theirs and then just link. So it's a really good card in the mirror. Next, we have the Foolish Goods and Metal Foes Fusion engine. So get spells engrave. I wouldn't run 3 because it's a hard once per turn. You only want to see one of them just to dump that Metal Foes Fusion, get that spells engrave. Or if you have a Ray, you could always dump Engage and then get that Engage back with Ray. So that works too. Next we have 1 Rhoda, because you always want to see Ray, and 2 Shared Ride. So Shared Ride, at worst, it's always a 1-for-1, because like against Meliseek, it's just a cycle card. Like even though it's not like a negate, at least you cycle your deck. But against like the Striker Mirror, against Trickstars, you just plus hard, or you stop them from playing, and then you just win the next turn. Like it's absolutely crazy. And in the 2019 format, in the February one, when Salamangreats Greats come out, a lot of people are going to be playing that deck. So then this deck will shut them down because they don't want to be searching and letting you plus, because they search a lot. So Shared Ride is an absolute killer. So that's why you want to be playing 2 of them in the main. And it's a spell. Worst case scenario, just pitch it off the field spell or multi-roll, and that's a spell engrave too. Next we have 3 Twin Twisters and 2 Dusters. So absolutely nuts. Twin Twisters, pitch a spell, pop 2 back row, and you also start with 2 spells engrave. It's the best going second card you have in the main, and it absolutely destroys Sky Strikers and Altergeist, or like Guru Stun now. Like in this stun and like control back row heavy format, you need these cards. Albeit like it's not good against Thunder Dragons, but in games 2 and 3 they'll try to be cute, side in like Rivalries, Imperial Order, and like maybe Eradicator, and you always want to pop those while you can. So on the end phase, if you resolve any of these, you just automatically win. Like every time I resolve Heavy Storm Duster on my opponent's end phase, like they scoop, like they don't want to play anymore because I've won. It's a +1. Even though it's slow, you have the Twin Twisters that make up for it because it's a quick play, so you can use it on your turn. And then you got 2 Strikes. Strikes win the mirror because on the summon of Kagari, they don't get the effect, they don't get the Ray, they're done. You win. And against combo decks, or even against Thunder Dragons, you like strike like the Titan summon, you win. Or you could always strike like one of the effects, like Dark's effect or Roar's effect. It's just good. It's just a negate for monsters. And you always want to see it going first because it just secures your win. Now moving on to the extra deck. 3 Kagari. Kagari does everything for you. Loops your graveyard. Absolutely nuts. It turns your +1 from your 1 engage into a +2 because you get to see it twice. It's actually crazy. And then you have 3 Shizuku. So it searches spells on the end phase. A thing that you should do always is if your hand's like really bricky, but if you have an eco booster, just summon your Shizuku on end phase. If they have like Imperm or Ash, then you can always activate your Ego Booster on it. So don't set your Ego Booster, especially if your hand's bricked. If your hand's bricked and you only have that Ray, go into Shizuku, don't set that Ego Booster. On the end phase, they'll do whatever they can to like stop you from like upping your consistency, so they'll do something to the Shizuku, and that's when you have to Ego Booster. That's the most important thing. So always save that Ego Booster if your hand's really bad. Next we have 2 Hayates. I did like 3, but it didn't really come up. It's really good against Thunder Dragons because you can dump your spells and then recur them back with Kagari, so then you don't auto lose to Thunder Dragons, so you can like get stuff from your graveyard instead of searching them from your deck. So Hayate is really good. And another thing you can do is you can always cheese your opponent, because if they're less than 1500 life points, you can always summon Hayate, activate Ego Booster, and then you swing for game. Like, it's that easy. We have 1 Kaina, whether you want to gain life points or stop your opponent from attacking. She's pretty good. 1 run 2, 1 run 3. Very situational. Wouldn't really play more than 1. And that's just the Sky Striker lineup now. Next we have 1 Klaranrushka. Doesn't really come up. Like, a lot of the times, if you want to out Secret Village, you'll try to do it with, like, Ray, beat over, like, the Meliseek, or, like, beat over the Faker or the Silk, if it's attack mode. There's a lot better ways for outing Secret Village or being able to activate spells rather than this, because if they just bounce this or activate it on your Ray, like, you're absolutely done for that turn. You're not going to be able to recover. So, Klaranrushka, very situational. It does come up, but a lot of the times you'd rather try to win without it. 1 Phoenix, just a good link too. It comes up more than Cerberus. It's really good. Ningirsu, it's good for linking away your opponent's monsters, and it's a non-targeting removal. Next we have our 2 cherry targets. So Isolde, not as big anymore because Warrior sucks, and Dante, I guess, could come up, but I don't think it will. But BA's not too good of a matchup for us because Kaiju shuts off our back row, and if we like shut off their Dante, they can't really get their play started either. So I guess Dante's good, but I don't think he'll come up too much. Then we have 1 Dragos Stapelia because we play Super Poly, so we can just fuse away my opponent's like Titan, or not Titan. We can just fuse away their Colossus, because if they want to go triple, double Colossus, I just activate Super Poly. They can't respond to it, and then boom, I have a Dragos Stapelia and their board's cleared. So that's really nice. And once Salamangreats Greats become a really good deck, and once they come out in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be putting Violet Chimera in here too, probably instead of Isolde, so then I can cover my bases for Salamangreat Great and just fuse with them. Yeah. Moving on to the side deck. The side deck, really good. Like, the side deck's where all the spice happens. Like, games 2 and 3, I'll never lose. I don't think we'd ever get to a game 3, but I wouldn't lose after that, because we have 1 Lancia. Good against Orcus, because Orcus, they're starting to get big. Like, if you can stop their banishing, you win. Same with Thunder Dragons. Like, they normal summon, like, the new Wolf card. Chain Lancia. Okay. Game. Or you could just do on their standby if you know that you're facing Thunder Dragons. It just shuts them off. Next, we have 2 cherries. So this is really good against the mirror. If you Reaper their Kagari, they don't have much of a chance to come back. And then we have the Reaper targets in the extra deck too, so that's pretty good. Next, we have 1 Jamming Waves. So Jamming Waves is really good against like Ultrageist and whatnot, and it's good against the mirror too because it forces out back row. And it's also a monster removal, so that's nice. We have that 1 Super Poly. We have the 2 Book of Eclipse, because you always want to be searching on your own turn when you face Thunder Dragons. You don't want to be stuck under Colossus, so Book of Eclipse, really good. We have 2 Deep Barriers. So Deep Barriers going first against Thunder Dragons. They can't do anything, and you use this against Prank Kids too. They can't do anything on your own turn. You just smack them. 3, there can only be 1. Beats Thunder Dragons again. and it beats Altergeist too, because like they can't, even if they summon Multi-Faker, they can't get out a second one. So easy win. This is auto win button, and then the more auto win buttons evenly match. So good against the mirror match, and so good against Altergeist. So good against True Draco. Good against like Thunder Dragons too. Like side deck is just absolutely insane. Like yeah, you just can't go wrong with this side deck. You basically account for the whole meta.